this is the thing to remember is that like there's a lot of real estate groupies out there, and the idea of real estate sounds really good, right? I mean, who doesn't want passive income and all this?
Right.
What is it? What is it? Smart
Sometimes
passive
it
income? Smart? What is it?
simple,
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 simple passive
simple.
income. Simple passive. Smart, that's Pat Flynn, right?
Yeah.
So you're simple. He's smart. But remember, there's a formula to all this, right? There's a formula, and I always call it the wealth formula. And the wealth formula ultimately is, the math behind it is simple. You have to have a lot of money to invest, which is a mass. You have to have money to invest, some kind of money in the first place, and then you utilize velocity of money and leverage, and that's how you make a lot of money. The thing that people forget a lot of times is the whole M part, the mass, the actual fact that they actually have to have money if they're going to create cash flow. So you're like, yeah, I want to, I'm going to have $40,000 of cash flow a month.
Yeah. I want to get 1,000 units.
I want
Yeah.
1,000 units, and I want 1,000, all this stuff, and that's great. But you got to say, okay, well, you do need to have a little bit of money in order to do that, right? So that's where I think that I'm a little bit different. I think I like to kind of come at this whole thing holistically and say, okay, well, let's figure out how are you going to make more money as well. Because if you can figure out how to make more money, you can create more passive cash flow. So there's a step that people frequently forget, and I think that that's one that I like to focus on as well.
Yeah. You've told me this a while back, and I kind of embodied it in terms of the engineering way. You can only invest in real estate and make like 20% plus or minus 5%. I mean, unless you're doing super crazy stuff, which I wouldn't suggest, you're not going to make much higher. So do the math, and this is what you're going to get in 5, 10, 15 years. But if you want more than that, it always comes back to that square one. Like you said, you got to make more money. So I was like, well, got to make more money.
Well, right, and so what can you do? I mean, you can do there are a number of ways you can do that, but they're really some in some way, shape, or form involved being entrepreneurial. Honestly, that's literally is like, even if that means just driving for Uber, it's still like, if I was a resident when I was a resident, if Uber was around, I totally would have driven for Uber. I was looking for something like that, but there was nothing back then. And there's so many different ways to make more money. The idea and this is important though, because even like, you hear Robert Kiyosaki, one thing that he says, that I don't know if people really catch on to what he means by this, but he says that my businesses buy my real estate. That's what he says. So Robert Kiyosaki, who everybody knows and thinks of is this as the real estate guy, right? He's a real estate guy. That's what you think of him. But the truth of the matter is his massive amounts of cash flow come from the Rich Dad Company and the book sales and all that. That's what makes all of his money. And then he invests his money in real estate. And he told me on the cruise, he said, it's funny that most people seem to think of me as a real estate guy, but really I'm a guy who invests in real estate. Mostly I just invest with Ken McElroy. That's what he told me. So,
Apartment buildings, yeah.
so yeah, you don't have to. And with Kenny, of course, now you're talking about, like you said, I mean, Kenny's got a great track record over time, and it's an annualized return. Maybe it's, 20% plus. But I mean, in the first place, where do you create more income? You have to figure out a way to do that if you really want to get out of whatever you're calling it, the rat race, the golden handcuffs, the cubicle, escaping the cubicle, whatever it is for you. You have to figure out how you're going to make more money first. And I look around, Lane, and there's so many ways to do it. And I'm always amazed at to me, it's like being a kid in a candy store, right? You gotta just pick something and go with it. I mean, I'm just looking, we were at this note buying thing, right? And if you're a